All right, so today I'm joined with Joaquin Buckley after a crazy
Yeah.
knockout over the legend, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson. How you feeling coming off of that, man?
Man, we feeling good, coming into, Utah, coming from Utah, I feel like just all the preparation leading up into that fight, I really just, worked my ass off, not just physically, but mentally as well. Dealing with somebody as sharp as Wonder Boy, trying to figure out his style and figure out his techniques, man, I had to really just dig deep on just, how to game plan for a person like that. And I really feel like for myself, I really had to really just look towards and just get a lot of help from a lot of different individuals, from whether you say from my camp in St. Louis, whether still reaching out to my guy Nick Simmons in Michigan, or going out searching in Texas, going training with the B team and training with Ambush Muay Thai. So I had to really reach out to a lot of people, man, just to try to figure Wonder Boy out. But luckily I did and got the win. So.
Right. So is it fair to say maybe you're stressing a little bit about that style, like low key? Obviously you're confident, but like you're trying to get that work in for that karate style.
Yeah, I can say, yeah, I was stressing about it for a minute, just because, yet again, there's a lot of guys that fight Wonder Boy, and they always have a plan, or they always, have an idea of what they're gonna do, and they don't ever implement that plan once they step out there in that cage. Because it's one thing to say what you're gonna do, but it's a whole thing to go out there and do it, and especially when you're dealing with it under pressure, and that person is throwing back and they moving and they tracking you down. But for myself, I really felt like a lot that I've learned in that situation, when I was training for Wonder Boy, when I was looking for a certain person to emulate Wonder Boy, I couldn't find him. I couldn't train with him. Raymond Daniels, when I went out there to Texas. But there was a young kid named Chad, who had a karate background, taekwondo background, that I was able to train with. And, even though he's not the level of a Wonder Boy, what I'm saying, it still gave a good look for me. So, the game plan that we had initially was to do a lot of boxing angles and to work around Wonder Boy and whatever. But actually, this kid had a good ability of throwing a side kick on me, right? And obviously, Wonder Boy is known for that side kicks, throwing it and thrusting it into your midsection. So every time the kid did that, he was able to distance himself and have that space. So I'm like, damn, I don't know how to beat that. But then once I started sparring him and I kind of changed it up and started just moving forward on him, he had a difficult time. And he actually had a harder time getting his leg up to hit the side kick. So that's when we made that adjustment. Even though it was just for sparring, I made that adjustment in the game plan and fighting Wonder Boy, because I felt like if this kid Chad could do this to me, Wonder Boy could do the same thing. And those adjustments actually led to the success in my fight, because that's what we did the whole time. We stayed forward and we stayed down Wonder Boy's chest the whole time. So there's a lot of different key details that we did within that fight that led to the success that I had. And I feel like, for me, it's just like trying to put the whole puzzle together, all the pieces, whether that's from my training methods, because for this camp as well, and I'm just hopping into it, but for
Yeah.
this training camp, anytime I hit mitts, anytime I, used the wrestling dummy, I had a bungee cord, right? So I had the resistance bands wrapped around me. So that means somebody had to hold it the whole time as I used the resistance to move forward. Because in this fight, I didn't want to step back. Wonder Boy does a good job of doing his karate blitz and stepping guys back and end up, once guys come back, he'll come around with a leg kick. I didn't want to give him any room or opportunity to use his kicks, so I made sure to constantly just make myself move forward throughout the whole camp, whether that's hitting mitts, whether that's hitting the bag, or whether that's, working on the dummies. And I really feel like, working on that resistance and having that band, that's where kind of my explosion kind of came from, right? The kind of the knockout blow, because that whole resistance that I did, that whole camp I didn't have, right? So I was just able to prepare myself and kind of, throw that leaping hook, as people saw, the gazelle hook. So
I got a question about that. So with the resistance bands, you felt like in the third round, right, when you leaped into him, you just didn't have all that stuff holding you back. So it was like something you've been working on, like torquing.
yeah, exactly, right.
Yeah.
So just every little detail in my training helped amplify towards the fight. So us working with the either the bungee cord or working with the resistance bands, you know, it kept my whole body moving forward, forcing my body to move forward. So once I didn't have that, anytime I moved forward, it's just like I felt very explosive, and I felt like there was nothing that Wonder Boy could really do to stop my forward momentum, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So for me, right, looking into this fight a little bit, I kind of figured this is how it's gonna play out. You're a really physical guy in there, and I think even if you like drop around or something due to like little techniques hitting you or something, I think the physicality even wears on these guys. And then you talk about the elevation and stuff.
Yeah.
I think that's exactly how it's gonna play out. I didn't think a knockout was gonna happen. I thought that Wonder Boy would get like drained though. You know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? Not that I didn't think it was gonna happen,
No,
but I just
I
wasn't.
get
I
exactly
don't
what you're
know.
saying. But even with that being said, once you start to get tired, you start to slow down, and now it causes for even moments for you to get caught. And that's the thing about me. For me, just all the training that we've been doing. So you speak about the elevation part, and obviously a lot of people see me that I run those hills and everything of that nature. Y'all see me that I carried the, you know what I'm saying? Had the bitch with me, right? My side chick, had the wood with me. But a lot of people didn't realize, how I was training up that hill. So it was not just me running. I was holding my breath for a certain amount of time as I'm running up that hill, right? To try to emulate, elevation. Because obviously in elevation, you only have so much oxygen in the air for your body to use. So obviously with me working out, I wanted to try to simulate as close as possible to that. So I held my breath and I did rounds up the hill as I'm running. And I ain't gonna lie to you, it was a bitch working out like that, right? Because it's so like it takes a lot of extensive energy, just trying to run it up there, but then also running on a limited tank of air. So with that being said, every small detail leading up into this fight led to my success, because when I was out there for almost 15 minutes, I wasn't tired. In the third round, I was not tired, and I was able to keep that same pace. So for Wonder Boy, even though he did a good job in the first, he had a little success in the second. Once that third round came, I think his tank was kind of running empty, and it led me to be able to expose that and then capture that shot that I needed to end the fight.
And I want to ask you how you set that up, but just real quick, how heavy was that log that you were carrying for people to know? Because obviously it looks pretty heavy.
It looks pretty heavy,
You probably didn't put it on a scale,
but I
but
believe it is about 40 pounds. I don't think it's nothing too crazy. Yeah.
okay. And you just found the biggest log
Yeah,
you could
yeah.
find
So
at the
somebody
park
had
and you
like a
started
car
running up the hill
accident.
with
So
it?
no, somebody had a car accident. It was a telephone pole.
Is that from fucking like that one video you
Yeah,
posted on your story?
yeah. It's the same one.
What up, y'all? I done found this bad bitch in the streets, you hear me? She was on one of them corners, dog, working. I had to get up off the street, dog. Hey, I'm gonna take her home, man. I'm gonna treat her right. All right? This my new bitch. This my new thick bitch right here.
So you made use of
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So, but yeah,
It was a broken telephone
yeah,
pole.
that's it. Yeah, yeah. And I was just like, fuck, it, I'm gonna
Damn.
use it for training.
Yeah, yeah. People were commenting saying like from one of those Rocky movies or something like that. There's a guy who carries a log up the hill. So
I
you embodied
I
like
think it
one of
was
those
actually. Oh
characters.
no, no, they talking about Vision Quest. Yeah,
Vision
Vision
Quest. I
Quest.
haven't seen that, but I heard
It's a
about it. It's
wrestling
like a wrestling
movie.
movie
Yeah,
or
it's a
something.
wrestling movie about a high school
Right.
kid. I believe he goes down in weight. Funny enough, he goes down in weight to wrestle one of the number one guys in the state. And
Yeah.
that's why, when the dude is carrying the wood, he's like, "You gonna make the weight?" He's like, "I hope so." You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So yeah, it's an iconic scene for sure. But regardless,
And funny
though,
enough, you moved down a way too.
yeah, I love those old school workouts, man. You can't beat them. I really feel like it's not only just hard to do, but it gives you a lot of great mental confidence. If you're able to push yourself through those type of workouts. So I feel like for me, I always try to make the training harder than the fight. I feel like fighting is the easiest thing, but the training is always something difficult to go through.